in my own practice, I have worked with an individual that had recorded a history of being cruel and torturing animals when he was a child. He had a history of trauma. He grew up in an alcoholic family, had a history of some sexual abuse by a neighbor. So, he had experienced a lot of stuff. But actually ended up being a fairly high-functioning individual, but ended up with a series of extramarital affairs, and not just extramarital affairs, but like as an adult who was married with children, hookups, and didn't see like that any of that was wrong. Pornography, all of those kinds of things, and kept that as kind of a separate life.
Split himself into two different spheres.
Right.
So you think this was caused by his childhood, basically?
Yeah.
And all the crap that happened to him.
Mm-hmm.
So is there any...
He had a very different... He didn't really attach to anybody in his family and did not have good attachments to his parents whatsoever. And so the basis for mutual respect, how do you treat people, how do you give and receive emotion, anything that's positive, he did not have that foundation for. And so it's just kind of warped. And then you go out there, it's like, oh, well, I can kind of do whatever I want to do.
Yeah.
So
how do you, correct that in a person?
Very, very difficult. For both of them, there's really no psychopharmacological treatment that has ever been proven to be effective. So there's not like a drug that you can push at this or that or the other that's going to work. Psychotherapy is generally the best thing, but it's highly not effective. Often happens being court mandated, so they're not invested in it anyway.
They don't want to be
with
there.
any personality disorder. It's hard to turn that around unless the person's like, okay, I get it, I'm borderline personality, I need to come in here and do something about this, or I have dependent personality disorder, I need to do something. With a personality disorder, an individual has to be really pretty self-motivated to want to change that. With antisocial personality disorder, the thing that you're going to be working on mostly is trying to build a sense of empathy, really. They have to be able to step inside somebody else's shoes and understand how my actions affected you. So, if you can keep them there long enough, the therapeutic relationship between the therapist and the patient is sometimes the first actual, more concrete, real relationship that they've ever had. And so that's the basis that you start building, transference, trying to build that we really are connected, and what you say affects me and what I say affects you. Group therapy can be particularly helpful if you get somebody to a point where they're starting to catch on, and then you have maybe a group, but they all have to be in that same, they all have to be doing the same thing. It all has to be antisocial personality disorder, because then they start hearing what other people have done. The only thing about group therapy is you have to have a really strong therapist who's very knowledgeable about these kind of folks, because otherwise it can become just like a big brag session about their exploits and what I did and check me out, because both of these people, particularly your sociopathic folks, are kind of grandiose, and they will, they're pretty narcissistic. They
created using Powtoon.